In case you've been living under a rock, history was made at this year's Oscars ceremony. Actor Will Smith created a stir and changed the tone of the otherwise uplifting and positive evening when he stormed the stage and struck comedian Chris Rock in the face. This enormously uncomfortable moment transpired after Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's shaved head. While presenting the Oscar for Best Documentary, Rock quipped, "Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it." The camera then panned to a very unamused-looking Pinkett Smith, who, in recent months, has been very open about her experience dealing with alopecia, an autoimmune ailment that causes the sufferer to lose their hair. When Rock realized that his joke didn't go over very well, he quickly muttered that was a nice one. The next thing he knew, Smith was walking aggressively towards him on stage. Smith then jumped up on stage, slapped Rock in the face, and then returned back to his seat, where he yelled at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his effing mouth. Rock looked flabbergasted after being assaulted, but after he managed to compose himself, he joked, awkwardly, that the audience had just witnessed the greatest night in the history of television. Just 40 minutes later, Smith took the stage once again to accept the Oscar for Best Actor for his role in the film King Richard. Smith did acknowledge the incident that had happened earlier that evening and issued an apology to the Academy, but he notably failed to mention Rock by name. A day later, however, Smith did issue a public apology to Rock in a post on Instagram. In that post, Smith called his behavior both unacceptable and inexcusable. He went on to say that it's part of his job to be able to roll with jokes made at his expense. He admitted to acting emotionally and said that he was embarrassed by his actions. He wrapped up the apology by saying that there is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. While you might think that this unfortunate incident was a one-off affair, it wasn't actually the first time that Chris Rock had made a joke about Will and Jada. Keep watching to learn more about the long-standing beef between Will Smith and Chris Rock. Perhaps a little bit of context will help clarify why Smith reacted as harshly as he did. Not that it excuses his behavior by any means. The 2016 Oscars. In 2016, Pinkett Smith made a bold move by boycotting that year's Oscars ceremony, citing its lack of diversity for her decision. That year, the award show was hosted by Chris Rock. In his opening monologue, he suggested that the actress wasn't even invited to the event in the first place. Rock said that Jada went mad. He then equated her protesting of the ceremony to him boycotting Rihanna's underwear, a place that he said he also wasn't invited to. He then claimed Jada was just mad that her husband hadn't been nominated for his role in the film Concussion. When asked by the paparazzi what she thought of Rock's comments, Pinkett Smith appeared to brush off the remarks by saying that they come with the territory. While she might not have been too upset by Rock's off-putting remarks 6 years ago, she was clearly displeased by his latest round of jabs, as they touched upon a subject that is very sensitive to her. That being said, Rock has since said that he was unaware of Pinkett Smith's struggle with alopecia. Enjoying the video so far? If so, take a moment to show us a little support by giving this video a like and subscribing to the Trender channel. Chris Rock and the Smiths have a history. There was a time when Chris Rock and the Smiths were on pretty good terms. The three stars have been spotted at numerous events together in the past without any drama. In 2012, they were even spotted sitting together courtside at an NBA game. Smith and Rock's professional relationship goes back even further than that. In 1999, the two both appeared in Spike Jonze's mockumentary Torrance Rises. Before that, Rock appeared in an episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air during the sitcom's 6th season. In that episode, Rock played a famous actor named Maurice Perry, as well as portraying Perry's sister Jasmine. It's unclear at the moment whether Smith and Rock's beef started after the 2016 Oscars or if other events might have contributed to the confrontation at this year's ceremony. When Smith took the stage to accept his Best Actor award, he cited Richard Williams' similarly fierce defense of his own family. He said that he had been called on in his life to love people and protect people. So perhaps Rock just poked Smith a bit too far when it came to his relationship with his family. Will and Jada's marital troubles. The Smiths exchanged marriage vows in 1997, and by Hollywood standards, they've enjoyed a relatively stable relationship ever since. That's not to say, however, that they haven't had a few hiccups over the years. In 2011, Smith threw a lavish party for Jada that included a surprise guest performance by Mary J. Blige. He also had a documentary commissioned that traced his wife's roots back to slavery. When Pinkett Smith found out about the event, she asked Will to cancel it while calling it the most disgusting display of ego that she had ever seen. Will and Jada didn't speak to each other for several days, and eventually they decided to take a break. Will would later say that their marriage wasn't working at the time, and they were both miserable. Fortunately, the couple did end up getting back together again, largely thanks to their children, Jaden and Willow. Quickly, however, the tabloids began running stories about the couple's marriage. The gossip rags painted their relationship as being one that was far from romantic. Headlines alleged everything from infidelity to the Smiths agreeing upon an open relationship. In 2020, singer August Alsina revealed that he and Jada had an affair in 2016. He further claimed that it was with Will's full knowledge and consent. Jada would later confirm this claim, saying that she and Alsina did have a physical relationship, but it was at a time that she had been separated from Will. Jada quickly clarified that she and Will got back together again and began the process of healing their relationship, and have been happily together ever since. It makes you wonder, though, whether Jada was thinking about all of that hard work that she and her husband had invested into their marriage when he stormed the stage to violently confront Rock on that fateful Sunday evening. Smith got in one little fight and his mom got scared. Carolyn Smith, Will Smith's mom, was watching the 2022 Oscars ceremony surrounded by her family at her home in the Philadelphia suburbs Sunday night. She was excited to get the chance to see her son at the prestigious event, but she ended up seeing a lot more than she had expected. After seeing her son accost Rock, she was left in a state of shock. While she told the press that she had nothing but pride when Smith was presented with the Best Actor award, she was still very disappointed in Will's violent outburst. She told one reporter that it was the first time that she had ever seen Will go off. Will's sister, Ellen Smith, came to her brother's defense by saying that, quote, "everybody has been bullied or abused in some kind of way," end quote. She then expressed that she totally understands why he reacted the way he did to Rock's comments. Will Smith's actions are under review by the Academy. The day after Will Smith's very public altercation with Chris Rock at the Oscars, the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences announced that they had opened up a formal review of the incident. The Academy issued a statement affirming that they condemn Smith's actions, and that they will be exploring further action and consequences in accordance with their bylaws, standards of conduct, and California state law. In 2017, the Academy released a revised set of standards of conduct in the wake of the #MeToo movement. At that time, they clarified that there is no place in the Academy for people who abuse their power or influence in a way that violates recognized standards of decency. At the moment, it looks unlikely that Smith will be stripped of his Best Actor Oscar. Whoopi Goldberg, an actor and member of the Academy's Board of Governors, told The View that the following Monday after the incident that while there would be consequences for his actions, she didn't believe the Academy would take his Oscar away from him. Even so, the Academy has made it a point to revoke membership from a member of Hollywood before due to their unethical and criminal actions. In 2017, they stripped convicted sex abuser Harvey Weinstein of his membership. Clearly, though, Mr. Weinstein's pattern of abuse was far more sinister than Smith's. Harvey was a predator who repeatedly abused his position of power to ruin the lives of numerous innocent women. Smith may have acted erratically out of emotion, but he definitely hasn't shown himself to be a star who has repeatedly caused intentional harm to others. But what do you think? Do you think that Will Smith should be stripped of his Oscar, or do you think that his actions were justified? Let us know in the comments. And before you move on to watching another one of our facts-packed videos, take a moment to show us a little support by giving this video a like and subscribing to the Trender channel. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon with more content covering all things trending.